Hey guys, it's Lady C back at it again. One of the topics I want to address today is your kids are not smart. I know what you're thinking right now. You're probably making one of these faces. What do you mean my kids are not smart? Just give me a second to explain. So many of you know that I teach third grade, and one of the things that I see that really just makes me sad is that when a student can't do something or something is really difficult for them, they think it's because they're not smart. When in reality, it may just be something that they just need practice on or that they need to work a little bit harder at. When they see other kids in the classroom get it, they automatically label those other kids as being smart or being smarter than they are, and that's why they understand and they don't. Which is really sad because even though intelligence may be a small role, it's not the biggest thing in success. The top leaders in the world are not those who are only intelligent. They're the people that have really worked their behinds off to get there. And often the people who are only intelligent end up working for the people who are the hard workers. Look, I'm a parent too, and I've done it plenty of times before. Whenever my daughter would come home with a good report card or a good note from her teacher, the first thing that I would say is, "Wow, you are so smart." Until I eventually started seeing whenever she was faced with things that were more challenging or things that were more difficult for her to do, she would kind of she would try to shut down because she knew how smart she was. And this one thing that she wasn't getting would frustrate her that much because, again, she thought it had to do with how smart she was. And so I had to tell her, hey, you're smart, but you don't know everything. And some things you're going to have to work at to get. I love using myself as an example whenever I'm trying to explain something to her or give her a life's lesson. So I tell her all the time, yes, I got a really good GPA in graduate school, but I had to work my behind off to get that. It's not because I was smart, it's because I put in the work to get there. So I want to challenge you parents, instead of telling your kids that they are so smart, why don't we try to tell them that they're such hard workers instead? That way they can see that their grades or the things that they get right or the things that they have accomplished, it has a lot more to do with them working hard and them sticking to it and them seeing something through to the end. All right, next I want to address kids and technology. Adults are getting busier and busier every day. Trust me, I know. By the time we get home at the end of the day, we are exhausted, especially if you have to drive 3 hours a day to get back and forth to work. So our go-to thing when we finally get home, lean back on the couch and the kids are looking for round 3 with you, is to just pass them a phone or pass them a tablet or give them some type of electronic device. And boom, instant babysitter. Now, I'm not saying that's bad by any means, and I'm definitely not one to judge. But there is such a thing as having too much technology. It wouldn't be that bad if kids were using this technology to do educational things, but most of the time I just see my daughter watching YouTube, watching weird Roblox movies, videos, or whatever, or they're watching other kids play and do things that they probably should be doing too. And they spend hours, like hours, glued to the screen until whatever device that they're on eventually dies. And then when their technology does die, they have no clue what to do or how to entertain themselves. So they start whining and getting into everything possible that they could be getting into. Kids are so used to entertainment coming right to them, they don't have to do anything to get it. All they have to do is watch a screen. So whenever it's time for them to go to school and the entertainment is not right there at their fingertips, they don't know how to handle it. They don't understand delayed gratification. They're up, they're wanting to move. If things don't go their way, they're throwing tantrums, all of that. Plus, these kids don't write or they don't color anymore. So when they get in school and they're not used to holding a crayon or holding a pencil, then it starts to hurt their hand. Now they're associating writing with pain, and now they don't like to write. And they think it's boring in comparison to their Fortnite stuff. And nobody's gonna buy into anything that is painful and boring. We need to let these kids be bored. They have to learn how to be bored and how to entertain themselves. The most creative things come out of boredom. When Anaya was about 4 or 5, she didn't have all of this technology, and we didn't even have cable for about 4 or 5 years. And this girl would come up with the craziest inventions at such a young age, and everyone was impressed. People would always ask me, what are you doing with her? What are you teaching her? How does she get so creative? What's going on? And one of the biggest things that I did was I didn't let her have so much access to all this technology. She didn't have access to iPads or phones or cable or a TV. And so she was bored, and she was forced to do things to entertain herself. Eventually, she stopped asking for toys that would give her immediate gratification, like dolls, different things like that. And she started asking for things that she could use to create stuff. Like, she was asking for a laminator, she was asking for scissors, she was asking for tape, glue, a hot glue gun. Like, she would ask me for the most weirdest things. And so I would give them to her because, it's crafty type stuff. And so it was just so amazing to see the types of things that she could think of on her own that I wouldn't have even been able to think of to do. And then she really got into reading. Like, she would be reading all the time. I would tell her to go to bed at a certain time, and then I would go in there and she would be sneak reading under the covers. Like, she loves the Harry Potter books. She read all of them by almost the end of 3rd grade. She read the Diary of the Wimpy Kid books. Like, she just loved to read because, again, it was something that was keeping her entertained since she didn't have all this technology. And you could just imagine how her grades in school were, like straight A's, was in GT program, like just doing all these amazing projects. And her vocabulary, amazing. Even now, she says a lot of things. And I just kind of look at her like, do you know what that means? Now that she's older, I do give her a little bit more reign, a little bit more freedom with the technology because she has gotten to a place to where I feel that she can handle that. But she doesn't have free reign though. I put some restrictions on iPad time, and I even do a lot of different things to where she can earn iPad time by doing certain tasks. Man, I just can't help but get the feeling that your kids are about to hate me for this video. But here goes nothing. So here's some of the suggestions. Here's some of the things that I do with Anaya with her iPad time. 1, she only gets 30 minutes a day during the week of iPad time after she has completed all of her homework, after her chores are done, and after, she's pretty much handled all her business for that day. If for some reason she does something that she's not supposed to be doing that day, or for some reason she comes home with a note or no homework or whatever the case may be, I just take that 30 minutes of the iPad time away from her. On the weekends, I do give her 2 hours of iPad time, but it's for the entire weekend. And I don't let her have the whole 2 hours in one setting. She has to split that time up. She has to take a break. She has to do other things, and then she could come back to it later. She keeps track of her own iPad time by setting a timer whenever she gets ready to start, and then she periodically checks the timer to see how much time she has left. When she's away with her dad or her grandparents on the weekend, she'll send me a screenshot of her screen time, and that's kind of how I can see that she's keeping up with it. Parents, this is the most underutilized resource that you guys have, and you don't even know it. You can be making your kids earn the time that they have on their technology. Go have them wash the dishes or sweep or do something to help their siblings. And I would give it in increments of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes at a time. I still wouldn't do more than an hour during the school week because that's just too much. But, if you see your kids going above and beyond or doing things that you didn't even ask them to do, like surprise them and say, you know what, you just earned 15 minutes of iPad time. Or, hey, if you do such and such, I'll give you 10 minutes of iPad time. And Anaya, that girl is always looking for different ways to earn more iPad time. So let's start using this technology thing to our advantage. Let's start taking advantage of how we could be getting our kids to do other things outside of just being on technology all day, or how we can even use it to incentivize them to do things that we would like for them to do. It is going to take some adjustment on both parts, your part and their part, but you guys can do it. I mean, it took adjustments on me and Anaya's part, but eventually she got with the program. She didn't really have a choice but to. And it's definitely working out in both of our favors. She still loves to read. She still gets crafty type things from people. She paints, she draws, she still creates. She does a lot of different things still. And her grades are still up there. By having kids earn their technology and iPad time, we teach them the value of time, and we're really getting them prepared for life. Like, kids need to understand how valuable time is and how they have to work, to get that time. They also learn to make the best of the time that they do have and not waste it. I will have my daughter on next time to discuss this and other things. She may not be as excited about it as I am. It's pretty much hit or miss with Anaya, so you guys are definitely in for a treat. Thank you guys for tuning in, and once again, thanks for doing life with Lady C.